Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. Yesterday we had the new calf born, so it was exciting. It was also scary. I'm not a farmer in the sense of cows. I can take care of pigs, chickens, rabbits, turkeys, no problem. Feel very experienced and comfortable with those animals. Plus, a cow is a lot more money than a rabbit. If you lose a rabbit, it's not the end of the world in a sense financially. But it taught me a lot. Basically, it taught me, and it was probably that plus just some other deep thinking, trying to prepare for the EMP threat, probably also trying to talk to people about the EMP threat, trying to get them woken up. And really, the EMP threat, we really don't know what's going to happen because a lot of the studies are old, or we just haven't had one go off recently. So it's hard to know what's going to happen, what's going to be affected. So I'm preparing for a worst case event. But yesterday, and I talked to my buddy with another YouTube channel that's a hardcore homesteader. And I came up to the conclusion that I am not prepared for what is coming. I am not prepared for what is coming. And there's a few reasons why. Now, I might be better prepared than 95% of the American people, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I'm trying to prepare for my family, my grandkids, other family members, friends. So I feel inadequate. I feel like I've done a good job, but not a great job. And I'll explain why. We had a minor problem. To me, it was a major problem because it's my cow. So I had to call a couple of farmers, cattle farmers, cow farmers, and get their input and their advice. And it was easy to pick up the phone, hit their number. The problem is, if this was a worst case event, one of them I could call on a radio. I'm not going to tell you what type of radio, GMRS, ham, whatever. I could call him on a radio, and we could talk the situation through. He could have helped me over the airwaves. But the problem with that is, by doing that, I just announced to the world that I have a cow or cows. And if I have that, I probably have other things. So it would not be really wise for me to get on a radio and start blabbing. Even if I had a problem, it'd be giving a lot away to a lot of people. And with directional antennas, they could locate me, and I would be also endangering my friend, because when he spoke to me, they could be finding his location also. So, to me it says, man, I need to be more knowledgeable in a lot of areas. Now, granted, the first people that helped me deliver the cow lives very, very, very close. They can walk here. So I had that, the ability to talk to them. So I was thinking, we had a little bull calf. Typically, let's just round off these numbers. To get a calf and get it up to size, so you could have another calf, it's going to be at least 12 months, maybe 13, maybe 14. Jerseys are a little bit quicker than other cows, so let's just say a year until you can breed that cow. Then you're looking at approximately 9 months. So really, it's about 2 years from the time you get a calf, raise it up, have a bull available, and then have another calf. 2 years of waiting. So we had a bull calf. I don't need a bull calf. I would have rather have a heifer. So if I want to increase the amount of food in my neighborhood, I could definitely have the meat from the cow, but I want milk. There's not a lot of milk cows around here. I know of a couple down the road. I know another one down that road. I think that's all there is for miles and miles and miles around. So in a worst case event, if the grocery stores aren't operational, the cows in my neighborhood are going to be extremely valuable for milk, for butter, for cheese, for everything else that you can make with cow's milk. Valuable in the sense that if you have children in your neighborhood, if you have pregnant women, it's a good source of food. So if I started right now, which I'm not going to, she's going to take some time off, it's 2 years before I have another shot. and, well, it's actually a year, and then that little heifer would have to grow up. So it's a long time. So it's not easy to build up food reserves in your community. Now, granted, if you had rabbits and you wanted to build them up, they breed like rabbits. I can knock out and have hundreds of them in no time. But the milk, I couldn't. So that got me thinking. Even with the cows in this area, it's going to take unbelievable amount of time to build up our local herds to supply our local people. And I'm talking about people within a mile or 2 or 3 of me. Other than that, there's no way to help. We become accustomed to the big food farms, the big farms, the factory farms, and there's none around me. Little farms are being wiped out, and they've been since the 90s, just decimated. There's none. We also rely on chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, and we're allowed to have an abundance of food. I'm going to make this statement. People are going to be probably upset. Food today is very cheap. Food today is very cheap. If you have to do all the work, if you did it yourself, you would realize that it is almost impossible to do a garden, to do all your livestock yourself. Food is abundant right now, and food is cheap comparatively to all the work if you've ever had to do it. The average person, I'll just say, needs 2,000 calories to 3,000 calories. Depends how hard you're working. So if you do the math, for 1 year, you could probably need 750,000 calories. And if you're a hard worker, a big guy, and you use a lot of energy up, you're going to need 1,000,000 calories. How many people have 1,000,000 calories stored? How many people have the availability of the community around them in a worst case event providing 1,000,000? We are taking food for granted, and I realized it yesterday with this cow, and just thinking and watching. We take food for granted. 150 years ago, we didn't have the abundance. You can walk into any grocery store. I don't care if they're missing a few items here and there. There is gobs of food. In a worst case event, those stores won't be there. Transportation won't be there to get food from. We can get, food from Mexico. We can get food from California sent here. All that's going to end. So look at your local community. Could your community support the amount of people that live in it? Probably not. And if you're far out in the country, in farmland, you probably could. But most Americans could not. We rely on technology. We rely on all the GPS for farmers to say, okay, I need fertilizer in this part of the field, not in this part. I need to do this and that. And they got technology to have abundance of food. In a worst case event, there's going to be starvation. I realize that like the people that are weak, people old, handicapped, people that are just lazy are going to perish. And there's nothing I could do about it. There's no way. I'll have a hard time keeping my family alive. That's why I'm relying on a big stockpile of food so I can start getting more skills. Because I feel there's so much to learn. And it was easy yesterday when we had the cow problem. You get on a smartphone and you can figure out a lot of things. And it's very, very, very helpful. Without that, a lot of things are going to be hard to do unless you have books and you can read those books. Also, we have one cow and a little calf. We got some turkeys. We got 50, 60 chickens. We got 2 big old pigs. We got tons of rabbits. But I buy feed from an outside source. I get big old round hay bales from an outside source. And that is what I need to keep everybody alive for 30 days. If I don't have those inputs coming in here, it might be I don't have money, or there's no one willing to sell it for me, or is a worst case event, they can't cut the hay. They can't bale the hay. So the amount of food that I can produce now is a false sense of security. Very much so. I would have to rely on neighbors with fields that they're not using to put the cows out, to free range animals. So I would have to drastically cut back on my animals so I could support them. So I won't be able to help people. Right now, I have extra eggs, like 45 to 50 eggs a day. In a worst case event, I might have to cut it back so we just have enough eggs for us and maybe a dozen or two to give to my parents or give to someone else. So false sense of security right now, because homesteaders are producing tons of food, because a lot of them are relying on diesel for a tractor. They're relying on fertilizers, pesticides. They're relying on input from other farmers to use for grain. Also, electric. This building is, what you see right now is running off of a big old power box right there. The building over there when we're in it. Yesterday at 3 o'clock, I had lights on because I had a birth of a cow and I needed lights to do things. You need lights to really function. I have so much to do. If I worked only from sun up to sundown and I didn't have emergency backup power or any type of power, even candles, my work would be cut back and I couldn't get everything done. Right now I'm working like crazy so the infrastructure can get developed so it may be easier in a grid down situation. And we're not even throwing the security concerns when I have something and everyone else does not. You know, my job won't be homesteading and working just to grow potatoes and corn and take care of animals. I'm going to have to worry about keeping my property safe. And that's a huge thing. So yesterday, it showed me that even if you have great plans, you might have a false sense of security. People say 90% would die after an EMP or worst case event. As I go down this path of trying to get more self-sufficient, I totally realize it is true. And I don't want to depress you. I want you just to have an honest evaluation. I was talking to an elderly lady her nickname is the Shark. And she was saying maybe some of these older people will realize that it's just not possible for them to live in this environment. If they're so old, it's hard just to go on a daily basis with electricity, with running water, with getting their check either from a pension or Social Security, and you know, having someone shop for them. Are they going to want to actually want to survive? And she was referring to maybe they have loved ones that are going to be taking care of them and really just devoting their whole life in a worst case event to keeping a 85-year-old man alive, a 87-year-old woman alive, and devoting so much resources. And I'm not saying you need to euthanize these people, kill them, or deprive them of life. I'm not. I'm just going to say there's going to be hard decisions to make. Do I take all my resources and keep somebody alive when other people need help? I hope this helps, but I am not prepared to survive what's coming, but I'm working hard to get there. But you also got to trust in God. Thanks for watching.